Breaking: King Charles just overled Sadiq Khan in the most explosive execution showdown London has ever seen. And what happened next left the mayor completely furious and rushing to save his political career. The king used powers nobody even knew still existed. People inside the palace are calling it nuclear, and the results will change British politics forever. If you want to see how this constitutional earthquake ends, hit that subscribe button right now, because what's about to happen will shock you to your core. Here's what started this unbelievable crisis. At 9:47 a.m. yesterday morning, King Charles took specific action that broke 50 years of political tradition. His private secretary delivered a formal letter to City Hall, and the contents were absolutely devastating. The king's words were calm, but very clear. London's current leadership direction goes against the safety and well-being of British citizens. But Sadiq Khan wasn't having any of it. The mayor wasn't backing down or giving careful, polite answers. Khan fired back with a statement so bold that constitutional experts are still shocked. The heat in British politics just went from simmering to completely boiling. At exactly 2:15 p.m., Khan held an emergency press conference outside City Hall, and his exact words were chilling. Standing before a group of microphones with his jaw tight and his face red, Hesed, nobody, and I mean nobody, tells the democratically elected mayor of London how to run the city. Not elected advisors, not aristocrats holding on to medieval privileges, and certainly not the monarchy. Their response was quick and devastating. Within hours, the hammer came down. Senior police officials speaking on condition of anonymity said the king was privately shocked by Khan's single quotes SD's obedience. Sources inside Buckingham Palace describe a mood of control and anger unlike anything seen during Charles's reign. According to several senior workers who were present at emergency meetings throughout the day, the king's response will be calm, planned, and absolutely crushing. The gloves are coming off. This isn't politics anymore. This is constitutional error. But wait, because there's another part to this conflict that makes it even more explosive. The specific issue that caused the king's intervention involved London's handling of royal ceremonial routes and traditional parades. Khan's administration had suggested changing the annual Lord Mayor's show route away from historic paths used since 1215, claiming modern traffic problems. But Palachi historians quickly saw this wasn't really about traffic control. This was about slowly removing the visible symbols of British monarchy in the capital city. The king's letter specifically indicated 3 different times over the past 8 months when Khan's office blocked or delayed royal ceremonial permissions. One incident involved that trooping the color rehearsal routes being restricted. Another involved editing palace requests for street closures during a Commonwealth or captaincy. The third and most serious involved Khan's office suggesting that royal processions should be reduced to match modern democratic values. That phrase appeared in an internal memo that was somehow obtained by the Times. When palace officials read those words, sources say the reaction was instantaneously followed by cold determination. The king himself reportedly circled that phrase in red ink and wrote in the margin, "This stops no." Meanwhile, British veterans who serve their country with honor and sacrifice are struggling to get basic health care services. Margaret Winters, a 72-year-old former army nurse from Cutton, had to wait 8 months for a hip replacement that left her unable to walk without terrible pain. She served in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, caring for wounded soldiers under fire, and now she can barely climb stairs in her own home. While veterans like Margaret suffer insolence, Khan's administration spent £2.3 million on diversity consultants last year alone. We're talking about luxury salaries for bureaucrats for doing reports nobody reads, while heroes who defended this nation are left behind. The contrast is so extreme, so morally wrong, that even traditional Labour supporters are questioning their loyalty. Retired Colonel James Patterson told reporters, "We bled for Britain, and no, we're treated like second-class citizens." While the mayor prioritized every except the people who actually built this country. His voice shook with emotion during that interview, and the clip has been viewed over 1.8 million times in less than 24 hours. And it's not just veterans suffering under Khan's leadership. Pensioners across London, people who worked their entire lives and paid their taxes faithfully, are being hit with council tax increases that are crushing their fixed incomes. Dorothy Henderson, an 81-year-old widow from Barking, broke down in tears during a radio interview, explaining how she now skips meals to afford her heating bills. She and her husband ran a corner shop for 40 years, serving their community, never asking for handouts. Now she's rationing food while Khan's office approves six-figure salaries for deputy mayors with unclear job titles like Chief Community Engagement Officer. The cruelty of it is breathtaking. Working-class Londoners, the backbone of the city, are buying skis dry while City Hall grows like a bureaucratic empire. Then something unprecedented happened that nobody saw coming. King Charles broke 70 years of royal protocol with a move so bold that constitutional scholars are calling it the most important assertion of royal authority since the 1936 abdication crisis. At Wednesday's Privy Council meeting held in the ornate chambers of Buckingham Palace, His Majesty delivered what insiders call a masterclass in constitutional power. London belongs to all Britons, not to the political agendas of one man. The king declared with barely controlled intensity, his voice steady but his meaning unmistakable. The hidden message was nuclear. Charles wasn't offering suggestions. He was drawing a line in sand. Palace insiders say the king personally wrote the rebuke himself, rejecting softer language suggested by advisors. One senior courtier, speaking anonymously to Telegraph, confirmed what many suspected. His Majesty has had enough. The patience has run out. The optics are absolutely devastating for Sadiq Khan. When the crown itself publicly criticizes your leadership, you don't just face a political problem, you face an existential crisis. Here's where it gets really interesting. The king didn't just give a statement. He activated rarely used constitutional mechanisms that giveth crown oversight of London governance dating back to the 1215 Magna Carta. Legal experts are still studying the full effects, but earlier views suggest Charles has basically placed Khan's office under royal scrutiny. Every major policy decision, every ceremonial ruling, every proposal affecting London's historic character, must now be reviewed by police-appointed constitutional advisors. Khan's power hasn't been taken away completely, but it has been sharply reduced. And the brilliant strategy in this move is that Charles didn't break any democratic principles. He used existing constitutional rules that have always existed, but have simply been unused for generations. The king outsmarted Khan using the very traditions Khan tried to weaken. The domino effect has been nothing short of disastrous for Khan's political future. Immediately, markets reacted with brutal clarity. The pound sterling grows 0.4% against the dollar within 90 minutes of the king's statement. As investors saw royal intervention as a sign of coming political stability, conservative MPs, sensing blood in the water, launched a coordinated attack across every media platform. Former Home Secretary Suella Braverman didn't hold back. The king has done what Parliament should have done years ago: stood up for ordinary Londoners. Within the Labour Party itself, divisions showed almost instantly. Moderate Labour MPs, afraid of being linked to Khan's constitutional fight, began distancing themselves with carefully worded statements. #Defend the King trend globally for 6 straight hours, hitting #1 in the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Over 340,000 tweets in the first 4 hours alone, an organic wave of public support for the monarchy. Polls conducted by YouGov showed an incredible 68% of Londoners believe Khan overstepped his authority. Even more harmful, 52% of former Labour voters said they're rethinking their support. Protests started across London within 24 hours, with crowds gathering outside City Hall, waving Union Jacks and chanting "Khan must go." The images are politically toxic and they're being shown worldwide. But that's not even the worst part for Khan's crumbling political empire. International reaction has been swift and completely negative for the mayor. In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, normally hesitant to comment on Commonwealth politics, praised British monarchy's role in maintaining constitutional stability. In Australia, leaders from both major parties expressed support for King Charles's intervention. Even in New Zealand, where Republican views have been growing, polls showed 61% of citizens approved of the king's actions. The message is clear across the Commonwealth, challenging the crown as political suicide. American political analysts appeared on CNN and Fox News discussing the clash, with most expressing confusion at Khan's strategy. Why would any politician pick a fight with an institution that has served for over 1,000 years? Asked one Georgetown University professor. Britain's reputation for stability, for constitutionality, for respecting tradition while accepting progress. That reputation is what made this nation respected worldwide, and Khan's reckless confrontation has damaged that reputation in ways that will take years to repair. Inside City Hall, the atmosphere has turned into what multiple sources describe as absolute panic and finger-pointing. Chaos. Top ministers are openly arguing in hallways. Khan's deputy mayors are reportedly split into warring factions, with some privately urging him to apologize and others pushing him to double down. Deputy Mayor for Transport's Dance allegedly told colleagues in a heated WhatsApp exchange, "This is electoral suicide. We need damage control now or we're finished." Another senior advisor was overheard saying Khan looked haunted during crisis meetings, repeatedly checking his phone for poll numbers that keep getting worse by the hour. WhatsApp groups with names like Damage Limitation and Crisis Responsedium are filled with desperate test strategy as Khan's inner circle realizes they've lost control of the history. The question isn't if Khan will face a leadership challenge in your. Political observers note that Khan looked visibly shaken during a transportation incident yesterday, stumbling over prepared remarks and refusing to take questions about the royal intervention. Sources say he's barely sleeping, surviving on caffeine and Chris's meetings that stretch past midnight. One insider described him as a man watching his legacy burn in real time. But here's the layer that could destroy Khan's entire political empire permanently. Leaked documents obtained by multiple Fleet Street publications show something absolutely explosive. According to internal City Hall memos dated just 3 weeks ago, Khan's office was privately warned by senior civil servants that confronting royal prerogatives would trigger constitutional mechanisms, rarely used in modern governance. If these documents are real, and if they show what legal experts say they reveal, then Khan knew exactly what he was doing when heckling the king. Think about what that means. This wasn't a sudden, emotional reaction to royal interference. This was planned political theater, a deliberate attempt to create a constitutional crisis for personal political gain. The optics thought that would be absolutely devastating. Khan positioned himself as a victim of royal overreach, while privately organizing the entire confrontation. Constitutional lawyer Professor David Hughes told the BBC, if the mayor received clear warnings about constitutional limits and proceed anyway, he's not defending democracy, he's abusing it for political purposes. And wait until you hear what else these leaked documents reveal. One memo from Khan's chief of staff, dated October 3rd, discusses using progressive hesitant against traditional institutions as part of a bigger strategy to position Khan as a national figure ahead of the next general election. The memo clearly mentions creating strong ideological separation from conservative monarchy support in Posons. In other words, Khan's team planned to use the king as a political punching bag to rally progressive voters. They saw Charles as an easy target, an outdated symbol they could attack to energize their base. But they terribly misjudged British public sentiment. They forgot that while Britons love to complain about their royals, we unite fiercely when outsiders attack our institutions. Khan's team treated the monarchy like an American might treat a politician fair game. For political fighting, but this isn't America. This is Britain, and when elect our king. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Rishi Sunak is taking advantage of the moment with careful precision. While Khan struggles and Labour panics, Sunak appeared at a packed town hall in Kingston upon Thames yesterday evening, speaking with calm confidence of a man who knows momentum has shifted strongly in his favor. While others attack our institutions and disrespect our constitutional monarchy, Sunak declared to thunderous applause. We stand for stability, tradition, and the values that made Britain great. No mockery, no personal attacks, just steady leadership compared to chaos. The polls tell history with brutal clarity. Conservatives have risen to 38% nationwide, their highest rating in 18 months. Labour has fallen to 31%, losing support in every demographic. In London specifically, Khan's approval rating has dropped from 47% to 34% in just 5 days, the fastest collapse in mayoral polling history. For the first time since Khan took office in 2016, Conservatives lead in Greater London voting intentions, 36% to 33%. This isn't just bad news for Khan. This is a political earthquake that could redraw the electoral map of Britain's capital city. Conservative strategists are already identifying vulnerable Labour seats across London that could flip in the next mayoral election. The next 72 hours are absolutely crucial for everyone involved in this constitutional showdown. Khan faces a no-confidence motion within his own party, with senior Labour members privately discussing whether to remove him before he drags down the entire organization. The king must decide whether to use his advantage or return to traditional royal neutrality. Any further intervention risks accusations of political interference. But silence now might seem like weakness. Parliament returns Monday, and Conservative MPs are preparing emergency debates on mayoral powers and constitutional oversight. Britain is watching the most serious clash between the Crown and an elected official since the 1970s unfold in real time. The question is no longer whether Khan overstepped his authority. It's whether has destroyed his political career in the process. This crisis will be studied for decades and as a moment one politician forth that in Britain some institutions rhyme untouchable. At its center stands Sadiq Khan, who looks increasingly isolated, increasingly desperate, and increasingly finished. Legal experts are now discussing whether Khan could face formal punishment or even removal from office through ancient constitutionalists that nobody has seriously considered in modern times. There are mechanisms, dusty clauses and centuries-old documents that give Parliament and Crown joint authority to remove elected officials who break institutional norms. Nobody seriously believes these rules would ever be used in the 21st century. But Khan's confrontation has forced constitutionalists to dig through archives to examine examples from the 1600s and 1700s to figure out what powers actually exist to stop a mayor who challenges royal authority. The fact that these discussions are happening shows badly Khan misjudged the situation. He thought he was challenging a symbolic figurehead. Instead, he woke up constitutional mechanisms with real power. So here's the question that matters. Did Khan just commit career suicide by challenging the king? Or will he somehow survive this constitutional furtiz? Did King Charles just remind modern politicians that the crown still has power? And could this crisis actually strengthen the monarchy by proving it still has constitutionality in modern Britain? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this story shocked you as much as it shocked us, share it with everyone who needs to see what's really happening in British politics right now. The mainstream media won't tell you the full truth about this constitutional crisis, but we will. Make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow we're revealing the leaked WhatsApp messages that show exactly how Khan's inner circle is planning their next move. And trust me, what they're replicating is even more shocking than what you've seen today. This constitutional showdown is far from over, and the next chapter could change London forever.